Micah Krempaski is back. We love her. And today we're going to talk about mental health. Used to be really taboo. You want to be like, shit, going to a therapist. But it's not like that anymore. You can openly ask questions, and that's exactly what I did. I'm Sarah King, and I have a lot of questions. In this show, I get to ask WakeMed doctors any question I want, and bless their hearts, they have all the answers. Sarah Has Questions is a production of Mix 101.5 and Capital Broadcasting Company, and it's presented by WakeMed. All right, today we are talking about something that's gotten more and more popular over the past, I'd say 10 years in particular. Mental health used to be majorly taboo, and now people are really talking about it. I mean, I'm even having a hard time getting a therapist because she's overbooked. Every therapist I try to get is like, well, I'm not taking new patients. I'm like, this is a new problem we've created, but it's a good one. It's a good.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes me so happy to hear that people are talking about it, that we're getting out there, that people are actually getting into therapy and making sure that the services are available and we're able to get into treatment is really important. So yes, another problem, but at least we're coming out of the shadows. I think then when we're sitting around with our girlfriends, we're talking about, hey, I'm really struggling, or I don't feel great about this, or how do you cope? Like, I think we're having those conversations now. I also think that our kids are learning about it in school. Mm-hmm. We've started social emotional curriculum so that they're learning coping skills and they're understanding their feelings. I see it, in the media, in all the medical literature. I just feel like mental health is the new hot topic.
I would agree with that fully.
And it's long overdue. I mean, for how long has this been happening and no one talking about it?
Oh, absolutely. And how many times have you told your dad he needs therapy and he's like, no.
No, we don't do that.
We don't do that. Yeah, now is the time.
Now is it.
So with this, expansion of discussion, mental illness is something that's talked about a lot. And often when you think about mental illness, you think about schizophrenia as depicted in the media and depression as depicted in the media.
Yes.
So, what do you think about the term, quote unquote, or the phrase rather, mental illness?
Yes. So when people say mental illness, I think we automatically go to really negative places.
Oh, yeah.
So can I flip the script on you?
I mean,
get personal?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm an open book.
So I always like to think about where our own inner dialogue around mental illness comes from. So I think about it from my own childhood, the messages that I got, and I wonder for you, where did your picture of what mental illness is come from?
Wow. It's a little complicated. There's two things that come up for me when you ask me that question. First of all, I grew up in the 90s, the 80s and the 90s, heroin chic. I grew up with 6 brothers.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up on the beach.
Okay.
So my body image is just garbage because I was made fun of by my brothers. Yeah. And so that's eating disorder. I had an eating disorder, all of that. So that all kind of crafted at one point. And then my stepfather committed suicide.
Oh, wow.
So I had a lot of big mental health moments growing up. So that's where my mental health came from. And then as I went through the world, I went into therapy. I put myself into therapy. I still don't know what made me do it. Glad I did because thank God I did because some of my family hasn't. And I see the repercussions of me having gone through it and them not having, and how our lives are very different.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Like how you knew you needed therapy.
I don't know where it came from.
And found a way to do it, but that may not be what is acceptable or that may not be what's talked about.
Oh, yeah. My mom was a little embarrassed for me.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the narratives that come into our lives. Like, I'm embarrassed for you to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Or we don't talk about that.
Right. You whisper it.
Or that's not okay. Exactly. So I think about my own narrative. I was raised in a family that if you work hard enough, you'll be fine.
Yes.
Right? Like we don't feel bad. We work hard and we get through
it.
It's
just an excuse.
Yes, up by the bootstraps. And then I think about it. I grew up in a tiny little town, and I didn't even know mental illness existed. And now when I go back, I look and I see people who clearly have mental illness and are suffering from it, but it's not talked about. It's not recognized. And I just think back like, oh, all the whispers of they're weird or they're this or they're that, it's actually mental illness. And we don't talk that way about diabetes. We don't have shame around heart disease. But someone who has mental illness, there's this shame around
There really
it.
is, yeah.
So I think about where those come from. It's our own experiences. It's what the media says. It's what your family narrative is. It's what the narrative of your friends. And that all is usually subconscious. It just like goes into our brain and gets encoded into our own understanding of what something is. And then that comes out as our automatic thoughts when we experience something.
Right.
So when we hear the word mental illness, we automatically go to whatever those beliefs are inside our heads, and they're often very negative.
Right. Yeah. Well, is it fair to say that mental health is a spectrum then?
Absolutely. So if we think about this, I like to compare it to physical health.
Okay.
So when I say physical health, I mean, in general, I start to think about like, oh, physical health, exercise, eating, like all of these pieces. But physical health is on a spectrum. So some people are thriving. They might be training for a marathon, eating clean, doing all of these things.
Call those people show-offs. I'm like, oh, look at you running.
Yes.
Oh, so you don't have any pain.
There's some people at the top of their game. Then there might be someone who's deconditioned and thinking about, oh, I need to start working out a little bit more. I'm not my best self, but I'm doing okay.
Did you just call it deconditioned?
I did. Is that a big medical term?
I don't know what that means.
So they get a little winded when they're walking.
Oh, I'm definitely deconditioned.
All right. So you're in the deconditioned category. So we're getting a little winded when we're doing exercise, but we're still functioning. Like it's not getting in our way. All right. Then there's some people who might have a cold.
Out of commission?
Well, but just a little bit out of commission.
Okay.
So you have a cold or you have an injury. It's temporary.
Yeah.
And you're going to get better. You take a little R&R, you eat well, you sleep, you get comforted, and you're going to get better. And then there are people with chronic diseases, diabetes, heart disease, maybe cancer, maybe a life-altering injury. So then there are the disease states. Mental health is exactly the same. All too often when we say mental health, we immediately equate that with mental illness. But just like you don't think about, when I say physical health, you don't automatically think of the disease.
You tend to think about like getting in shape.
Yes, but with mental health, we don't do that.
Yeah.
But mental health exist on a spectrum as well. So mental health is about how we're feeling, how we're thinking, how we're reacting, how we're coping, the choices that we're making. And some people are doing really well. They're resilient. They're at the top of their game. They're functioning really, really well. And then there are some people who are, a little winded on their walk, like they're a little bit stressed, not handling things the way that they might.
Their plate is a little full, as they like to say.
Yeah, and they might say, oh, I need some help with stress management, or I just don't have the right balance. So they're in that place of like, okay, I need a little help. I need a little R&R, a little whatever it is that makes them feel better. And then on the other end of the spectrum are people who have a disease state, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety. So again, we can't equate mental health immediately with mental illness. Mental health, we all have it. We all can strengthen it. And some people have mental illness and they need treatment for that.
What are your thoughts on the fact that people tend to diagnose people with these issues nowadays, which is something I've found interesting?
Yes.
Like the word narcissism, which is a personality disorder.
Yes.
I hear that term thrown around all the time. People are like, well, that person's clearly a narcissist. I'm like, you don't have the background to make that statement. What are your thoughts on people doing that?
Yeah. So I think, again, mental illness goes on a spectrum, and sometimes we're trying to characterize things. We're trying to understand it.
Right.
We're trying to put it in a category to be able to cope with what's experiencing or what someone is experiencing or what is happening for us. But in fact, we can't diagnose things. People can say, oh, you might have diabetes, but you can't get that diagnosis unless you go to the doctor and you have your blood sugar checked and you know all the facts around it. So I think we have to be careful, but we both want to be literate and know about what mental health disorders are out there, but we also just really want to be careful about throwing around labels.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think part of the reason is it helps people, the person doing the quote unquote diagnosing, it helps them decide how to handle the person they're diagnosing, which isn't necessarily fair.
Yes.
Yeah. So social media, I think, has had a hand in all of this.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you think it's been a boon for mental health or more of, it's made it a worse situation.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that it's really great that we're talking about mental health. I'm glad that it's out there. I'm glad that people are having it normalized and it's spurring conversations and it's making people think. I mean, we're here today because of social media. Like, we're using it to our advantage and getting the word out. I think what's scary is that sometimes the information that's getting out is wrong.
Right.
And that can be really harmful. So I'm glad that it's spurring the conversation, but I want people to make sure that they're getting good information.
Yeah, I agree with that. Check your sources.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's one good thing about AI is that it's bringing the idea of you need to check your sources to the forefront.
Absolutely.
Be
careful.
Yeah, be so careful. So someone listening right now, perhaps they have something that they're concerned about within their own psyche, or maybe someone else in their life they're concerned. How do you start a conversation like that? Where do you go?
Yeah. So let's start with if you need to ask someone else about how they're doing or you're worried about them and you're feeling uncomfortable around it. So I always think about, okay, how do I broach this with them? Maybe they're not suffering. Like, maybe I think they're struggling, but they're not. That can be a fear. And so if that's the case, then I just put out there like, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Right.
Like, because that makes people feel really good. If they think, oh gosh, someone was thinking about me, someone cares about me, that connection can be really powerful. If you have information that they're struggling, then you can just put that out there and say, hey, I heard you're struggling, or I saw that you were struggling, or it seems like you're struggling. I'm here if you need me. I'd love to chat. Or I was just thinking about you. Whatever it is, you just open the door and let them take it. The other thing that makes people really fearful about reaching out is there's this belief that if you ask someone who might be thinking of hurting themselves, that you might seed that thought in their head. So like if you talk about suicide, that might increase someone's likelihood of...
I could see where that comes from.
Yeah. So absolutely not true.
Okay, good.
Talking about suicide actually decreases the risk of suicide. So don't tiptoe around this. Just ask someone, are you thinking of hurting yourselves? I really worry about that. Put it out there, because then people understand that you care, and it actually decreases the risk.
That's
and
great advice.
Increases the conversation around it.
Okay, good.
Then for yourselves, like, okay, so, it's easy to take care of others, but how do we take care of ourselves? Like, I think we have to ask ourselves the same questions.
Yeah.
And if I'm really going to do a self-check, then I'm going to say, how am I feeling? And really just take a moment to be really honest with how I'm doing.
Right.
Is that impairing my functioning? Like, how am I sleeping, eating, exercising, going about my life? And then the third one's, who am I talking to about it? Because a burden shared is a burden lightened. And that doesn't mean that you're putting your burden on someone else, because actually people really like to help. They feel good about it as well.
That's so true. I can't tell you how many times I have a few friends who listen, and I won't name their names, but they know who they are, who do not like to get help. And I'm like, do you know how good it feels when you help me?
Yes.
You are denying me of that.
You are denying other people the joy of helping you.
But there is a vulnerability there to admit that
Absolutely.
you're in that space, because like you said earlier, especially in your family, we have this, and I don't know if it's just an American thing where, just work hard.
Yep.
Don't let that be an excuse.
Yes.
Everything's fine if you work hard and deny it.
Yes, we're avoiding the shame. We don't want to be shamed. We have guilt around it, and so we hide it. But really sharing it is the way to lighten it, and it gives other people the joy of helping you.
Well, if somebody listening right now wanted to check in on their own mental health today, you mentioned what they should ask themselves. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it, of really just being honest with yourself. Take a moment. The first thing you have to do is have awareness and take that moment for yourself to say, am I okay?
Well, are there any physical signs that you could find that might give you a moment like, maybe I'm not doing so good?
Yeah, I think that you can go back to that. Is it impairing my functioning?
Okay.
So how am I sleeping? How am I eating? Am I getting outside? Is my activity level the same that it normally is? Am I doing the things that are happening in my life that I normally do in my normal routines? When we start to get out of our normal routines, that can be a sign of like, wait, something's not going on well here.
What about irritability too? I find that, a lot of people, I have a kid, when he's sick, he's not that nice.
Yes. Yes.
And that's physical, like the flu. Like I would imagine that would translate to your mental health also.
Yeah, I think it goes back to that middle ground that we talked about earlier. So sometimes it can be a fleeting moment of like, oh, I'm having a bad day, or something stressful really happened, or I ate something that didn't agree with me.
Right.
So we want to just be aware that we have ups and downs. Those are normal. We are not supposed to be happy all the time. Humans have a wide range of emotions. But what you don't want is for the bad days, the irritability, the feeling blue or blah to go on for multiple days in a row.
Right. I once heard someone say, you don't want to say, are you happy? The real question is, are you content?
Yeah. Yeah. Or I like to say, do I have a wide range of emotions? Like, I want to feel all the feelings. I want to be happy. I want to be sad. I want to feel them all.
Yeah.
And if I'm always happy, that can be a problem. And if I'm always sad, that's definitely a problem as well. The beauty is in experiencing them all.
Okay. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
If you ever need someone to talk to, start with your primary care physician. They can point you in the right direction. Thanks for being part of our conversation today, and thanks to Dr. Michael Krimpaski from Wake Med, the first ever member of the Sarah Has Questions 5 Timers Club. Congratulations. We'll see you next time, guys.